What is up, everybody? Skratch coming up with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today I want to talk about the top 5 best clan boss teams in the entire game. A lot of times we're talking about the best damage dealers, the best poisoners, the top 10 clan boss champions, the best support champions for clan boss, etc. But we're never really taking the time to talk about teams. And the whole idea is that a lot of people out there, they have multiple champions, multiple options, and you're gonna end up in being like, what clan boss team should I build now? Which one of these teams will give me the best damage? Which one of them will benefit my account the most? Can I do this team with the gear that I have? So today I'm gonna try to clarify this subject for you, hopefully to make it easier for you guys to understand and to make it easier to select your clan boss team depending on what champions you have available on your account. Plus, that's not everything, guys. We do have a gem giveaway. It's almost the end of the month. I'm a bit late to kick out this gem giveaway, but basically I have my gem giveaway from Plarium, which is kind of like a monthly thing. And on top of it, we managed to secure the second place in the faction wars, the faction games that we had with the other CC. So Team Skratch, we got second place. Unfortunately, not the first one, but hey, we're gonna do better in the next one. And we have some gems, shards, and skill tomes to give away from there too. Basically, 15 winners on this video, guys. We're gonna pick the winners tomorrow evening, so in 24 hours from when this video is out. All you gotta do is drop a like, comment, and let me know which one is your most favorite clan boss champion in the entire game. Go to settings, go to info, and copy paste your in-game ID in the comment. That's the only way how Plarium is gonna be able to send you the rewards if you're winning. Nobody can hack your account. Nobody can do nothing with your player ID. It's pretty much kind of like a code how Plarium finds you in the game. That's about it. Nobody can use it for anything else. So 5 winners will get 500 gems, 1 void shard, 1 epic book. 5 other winners will get 400 gems, 1 ancient shard, and 1 epic book. And 5 other winners will get 500 gems just to help you out in the game with whatever you're planning to do. Hopefully you're gonna pull some awesome clan boss legendaries from those shards. You never know. Moving back to our main topic, guys, talking about clan boss teams, at the moment 100% unkillable clan boss teams are dominating the game. The reason for it is that they are a bit more accessible. Second, they are easier to gear. Surprisingly, a non-unkillable clan boss team requires better gear than an unkillable team. Not only in terms of damage, but all around in terms of survivability, bringing in damage, bringing in accuracy, so it's gonna be harder for the majority of people to build a non-unkillable team. Other reasons, with unkillable teams, you're gonna be able to set them up pretty quick. Most of them go on full auto sometimes, do different difficulties without a problem, do different affinities without a problem, so it makes sense that unkillable teams will dominate the game. Just as a quick idea, if I'm gonna click on my clan, go at the clan boss teams, all we see right here is Bateater, Bateater, Bateater. This is probably the most popular endgame clan boss team in the entire game. Yes, it does require double Maneater. It's not as easy to get 2 Maneater, especially if you're free to play, unfortunately. But if you're lucky enough, it's not impossible. Actually, not at all. So this is definitely gonna be one of the top 5 teams, but we're gonna go to that in just a second. This is full auto, works on every single difficulty, every single affinity, and the DPS, how is Dracomorph in here, can be honestly whoever you want it to be, as long as it's meeting the right requirements to deal some decent damage on the clan boss. So I've done so many different clan boss teams during the last few years since I started playing Raid. Used to be one of my biggest passions actually to do clan boss teams and stuff. And I've tried quite a few actually, quite a few teams. Now I'm gonna rank 5 teams in here, and the way we're gonna rank them, guys, we're gonna think about the damage, how easy it is to build them, accessibility, and just overall utility, you know? So we're not gonna have only unkillable teams, we're actually gonna have only one non-unkillable team, and in that group kind of like it fits a few more. Let me start quickly with the number 1 team. So if I'm gonna go right here, we have the Midfu and the Bateater. Now, I'm a bit in between, okay? Midfu, Bateater, Midfu, Bateater. The reason for it is because the Midfu requires higher speeds. The Bateater doesn't need those crazy speeds. but the Midfu can deal more damage because you have 2 DPS champions, and I would say is more accessible in terms of champions, okay? It works on every affinity, difficulty, pretty much the same way like the Bateater does. So just because of not using multiple copies of the same champions, even though it does require higher speeds, and because it deals more damage than the classic Bateater Comp, I will put this on the first place. Now, when we're talking about speeds, the whole idea is that you're gonna use a champion that has a speed aura. So it's called Mid-Fu because you can build it with Fushan and you're getting the 24% speed lead. That doesn't mean that Fushan needs to be in there, okay? You can replace that Fushan with someone else if you don't have one available. Like right here, we actually use Urtikara and we use her speed aura. That's a 15% instead of 24. So that costed us a bit in terms of speeds and in terms of damage because she wasn't doing as much damage as Fushan, you know? The whole idea with this team is that you need Emita, you need Harris, which is a farmable champion. Seeker will be part of most of the clan boss teams, unfortunately, because he has such a powerful turn meter boost. So the whole idea with Seeker and why he's not really replaceable is this skill right here. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 30%, places an increased attack, which again is huge for damage dealers, and then grants an extra turn, bringing this skill to a 2-turn cooldown. 30% turn meter is huge. That's why we're able to go on a 2-to-1 ratio with Seeker in the team. Now, there is another champion that does something similar, and that's no one else but Deacon Armstrong, and they are different variations of teams with him. Where is he? Sacred Order? I can't even remember. Like, all of a sudden, I just forgot. So basically, fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% and grants an extra turn. So that's only half of what Seeker does. So if you want to build a team with Deacon instead of Seeker, you're gonna need way higher speeds than when you're using Seeker, okay? That's why it's not as great to do it with Deacon Armstrong. This is just to kind of like give you an idea of what exactly is happening. Why is Deacon, why is Seeker important, and why there are no other replacements. These are the only 2 champions in the entire game. So if you have a quick look right here, the highest speed is 301 with a 15% speed aura. Now if we're going at this one, the speeds are not as high, it's 292. And this is for a classical mid-foot team. And you can do easy 1 key, honestly, with a team like this. You don't need Draco. Even with the Feign, you're gonna do an easy 1 key. You gotta get the speeds, you gotta get damage on your main damage dealer or on the 2 damage dealers. And honestly, you're gonna get to a 1 key without a problem, because whenever I'm building a team like this, I think I get to around 112 million damage, even higher than that, and I haven't gave them like the craziest gear, you know? So it's gonna be much easier to get to a 1 key with a team like this than with a normal Bateater, okay? With a normal Bateater, you get 75, 80 million damage, and that's kind of like on a good day with very strong stats on your champions, and depending who's your damage dealer, you know? That's why I think this is the #1 team, the Mid-Fu. I have a couple of videos right here. I'm gonna link the speeds or the links to the videos in the comments down below, actually. So I'm gonna put you the link of each one of the videos if you guys are interested to build any of these teams. How I mentioned, you have 2 different variations, at least that's what I have on my channel. Plus, there are many different variations of this team, which require even higher speeds, but probably that's not something that you might want to see. These are kind of like, I'm going to show you the most common teams that you can use, and they're more accessible for the majority of the players. This right here is the Bateater. Now, I'm 100% placing this as the 2nd place team. Was really in between these 2 for me, even for the 1st place, but I kind of gave you the reasons why I placed the Mid-Fu on the 1st place. This one unfortunately requires double Maneater in order to make it work the way you do. They have a 5-turn cooldown on their Unkillable. The rest of the champions that do block damage or they do Unkillable, they have that skill on a 4-turn cooldown. That's why you cannot pair Maneater with one of the others and expect to get the same result like having a double Maneater team. The whole idea with them as well is that they have immunity, so you don't have to worry about having somebody else taking care of the stun, taking care of decreased speed on the AoE when the clan boss does that on Spirit Affinity. That's why Maneater actually enables your team to go on every single affinity, every single difficulty. So that's kind of like what makes Maneater so powerful. Seeker, I already explained to you. Painkeeper decreases the cooldown, bringing it down to a 4-turn cooldown. Now you can make a team like this called the Bateater, and instead of running double Maneater, you can run Helicath, you can run what's his name, Sir Nicholas, you can run a Roshcard, you can run a Warcaster, and have the Bateater. That's the team that I used when I've done the Clan Boss Challenge together with Hell Hades, Cold Brew, YST, and I can't remember if it was somebody else involved in it. So I used the Bateater in that. It's a bit more difficult to set up for the stun because you won't have immunity. But this is kind of like the main thing. The highest speed that you're gonna need for this team is 266, if I'm not mistaken. So that is the highest. The lowest will go at 220. So in terms of speeds, it's not as needy as the team, as the Midfu, right? But you need to have 2 copies of the same champion. The damage is not as high. So if we're gonna have a look right here, I think the best damage that we got right here was with Ninja. These, they have very solid gear, okay, all around as a team. Very, very crazy gear on them. And we got 92 million damage. Now, if you're running a team like this with Balanor, maybe even with Jintoro, it's easier for you to build your champions in terms of crit rate, crit damage ratio, attack. And you're gonna have to use toxic sets on your team. Same like in this one right here, we actually have toxic sets just to boost the damage. And like that, you're gonna be able to reach around 100 million. But again, it's more needy on the gear, okay? You need to have crazier gear, crazier stats on your champions, and you need toxic sets, good toxic sets, which they don't come as easily as you might think. Now here, the whole idea with this team is that you can literally bring in any damage dealer, okay? And you're gonna be able to crack on it and do some nice damage. You see, I have quite a few different variations of this one. If I'm gonna let it play for you right here, all these champions can work in the Bateater. That's why I feel like this is definitely the most common team. Moving over to the team that takes the 3rd spot, again, is gonna rely on double Maneaters. Now, here, we have Krayla Witcharm, we have Vizier, we have Dracomorph. The 2 Maneaters are a must to make this team work. It works on Nightmare, works on Brutal, works on Ultra Nightmare, works on every single affinity as well. And all you need is 2 Maneaters. The 3 DPS can be replaced by whoever you have available on your account. If you have, I don't know, 3 Frozen Banshees or 2 Frozen Banshees like Kael, and you have Occult Brawler, or whatever you guys have available. Now, I would suggest you always to prioritize to bring in a champion that has defense down, has weaken, preferably if you have somebody that increases attack, since most of these champions deal damage based on attack. That will boost your damage by quite a lot. Having a Ferrokin, having a Krayla, having a Fane. So this team is not as simple to set up like the others. You're actually gonna have to manual all the way up to like turn 6, 7, or maybe even 8 if I'm not mistaken. And you're gonna have to be pretty spot on with the speeds. The highest speed for this team is 220, but exactly. So it's no room to wiggle in there, okay? 215, and it goes all the way down to 169, which needs to be exact again if you're planning to use this team on multiple difficulties, not only on Ultra Nightmare. This can go pretty easy to a 1 key, similar with the Bateater. It's a pretty powerful team because again you have room for 3 DPS champions. Whenever you have room for a lot of DPS, it allows you to deal tons of damage pretty fast. Now, you're not gonna go on a 2-to-1 ratio, you're gonna go on a 1-to-1. This team is a bit more tricky because a lot of people tend to believe that, okay, the speeds are not as high, it's easier to make it. You're gonna have to make sure you have accuracy on 1 Maneater when you're building the team. If you're not very advanced in the game, you don't have strong gear, strong Great Hall, because the clan boss might stun one of your Maneaters while you're doing your rotation up to turn 8. Might even kill one of your champions if they're too squishy. So having accuracy on a Maneater will allow you to land decreased attack on the clan boss, and that will kind of keep your team a bit safer. Just because it doesn't require high speeds, it doesn't mean that you just snap your fingers and that's it. It is much easier to build because of the speeds and stuff, but you still need to consider in having some survivability on your champions, and you're gonna need some damage to make sure they start to heal back a bit, counter-attack every now and then. So this is a pretty solid team. In terms of damage, I'm not sure what exactly we got in this video, but we got 87 million damage with this team. Again, the stats on my champions, they were pretty strong here. This is, in my opinion, is an easy 2-key Ultra Nightmare, 1-key Nightmare, 1-key Brutal team, okay? So that's kind of like where it's gonna take you. Now, if you don't have double Maneater, there are multiple variations out there as well. They're not gonna have the exact same speeds. You're gonna require to use either a Demita next to the Maneater if you're missing a Seeker, for example, and you cannot make any of the teams that I just showed you before. Run a Warcaster, a Helicath, but the highest speed is gonna be around 280 plus, okay? So you're gonna have to achieve that. A lot of times I'm doing takeovers. I see you guys have most of these champions. I go on the account and unfortunately we're just not able to reach the speeds, man, you know? So it's pretty disappointed that a lot of times you guys have the options in terms of champions, but you're lacking the gear. So that slows you down in getting to where you want to be with the team, you know, unfortunately. So there are quite a few different variations. I'm going to link one of those next to this one in case if anyone is curious for that one. The next team, which is taking kind of like the 4th spot, and that is with Helicath. So the reason for it is because all you need is Helicath. So Helicath is gonna keep your team alive on the AoEs. He's gonna be the stun target. What you need next to Helicath is to have a champion that either gives you block debuffs, either cleanses the stun, okay? So that's kind of like how it's gonna work. Having block debuffs is actually better. The highest speed that is going to be required on here is 241, 243 on Helicath. The rest are actually pretty slow. It's easy to get it done because Helicath was a fusion, so a lot of you guys will be able to do the team. And next to it, you're going to be able to bring in 3 DPS champions, making this team one of the fastest 1-key clan boss teams I've ever seen in the entire game, okay? Long time ago, I've made a very similar thing, like over 2 years ago, where I used a different champion to take the stun while other champions were keeping Unkillable on the AoEs. You can have different variations for this as well. Have it with the Skull Crusher. You're not gonna need to have crazy stats on your stun target either. Just have some survivability. Of course, using a DPSer for the stun target is gonna be a bit more tricky. It's gonna be a lot of work to actually make it work. But it's not impossible. So how I mentioned, the speed on this Helicath, if I find the calculator link right here, is around 240. It's nothing too crazy, honestly. So there we go. 171, 187, 178, 177, 248 actually. So different variation that you could have on this is by having Roshkar the tower with Skull Crusher taking the stun, or a different champion tanking the stun. That's why Helicath is so good for the whole thing here, guys, is because he's a tanky champion. I would strongly suggest you to use a defense-based champion as the stun target, possibly, if you have one available. So Helicath brings himself increased defense, a shield, making the stun, tanking the stun like a pro, honestly, is much more accessible. Now, this team, how I mentioned, is probably, if not the fastest, one of the fastest teams in the entire game that can take you to a 1-key. I do have pretty crazy stats on my champions. The reason for it, I wanted to see how fast I can get to that 1-key, you know? So I used pretty powerful gear to see if I managed to do it under 7 minutes. Now, the damage that I've dealt overall with this team was 122 million damage, how you've seen right here. This definitely allows people to go to a 1-key on Void Affinity pretty easy, okay? If by any chance you cannot reach that, it's gonna be an easy 2-key Ultra Nightmare. And honestly, the reason why I rank this team so high is because you need Helicath, okay? Helicath can pretty much carry the entire team. Like the title says it, the most complete clan boss champion in the entire game. Just because he brings so much in his kit, was a fusion, a recent fusion, and you need a champion to deal with the clans. The rest, up to you, whoever you have available. Of course, don't play around with Thermiter and other things on these teams because they're gonna burn you. This will work on other difficulties as well, just by slightly adjusting the speeds. And probably you're gonna have to play a bit with the stun targets as well for different affinities. And the team that's on the 5th place and the last team that we have for today's video is no other team but the Infinity Comp teams. Now, personally, I haven't built one just yet. I'm definitely gonna do one in the near future to drop a video on it. So I'm gonna use as a reference the team and the video of my buddy Victor Test that he uploaded right here. So he actually had the world record with this team for quite a decent amount of time. He does like insane damage, 700 plus million, and if I'm not mistaken now, I think the world record is over 1 billion damage in the normal clan boss. Now, the whole problem with this team, okay, is that you need very, very specific champions, okay? This is no place to wiggle to play around with it, okay? You're gonna need to have Brogni, you're gonna need to have Krisk to make it work the same way, having a Sandlash, having a Helicath, having the rare champion, which is a decent option as well. But overall, this team is pretty needy in terms of gear, okay? So right here, look at that shield, is absolutely insane. You can actually stack 3 shields from what I'm seeing right here, and it's just insane. Now, Corpulent Cadaver, he's gonna do damage like 1 million per hit. At this point, he's gonna deal so much damage that you're gonna wreck the entire clan boss. How I mentioned, this is very specific on champions. If you are missing one of the key champions, this team won't be able to work. Unfortunately, the stats that they require, they're fairly decent. The whole idea is you don't need to go for world records with a team like this. You can actually go and get a 1 key. Now, when we actually had the clan boss draft, how I mentioned was me, Cold Brew, was Hell Hades, YST. YST actually had Brogni in his team, but had no Krisk. And he actually managed to get a surprisingly 100 million damage with that team without a Krisk. He doesn't have the craziest gear in the game either. So I'm gonna link that video just so you guys can see a different reference with Brogni. The whole idea for the Infinity Shield comp teams is that Brogni is the only champion that cannot be replaced by anyone. The reason for it is because of his skill where he actually increases the duration of the shield. So let me just find, I can't remember, is the A2 or the A3. No, this places the shield, this one. So basically increases the value of shield buffs on all allies by 30% of the damage inflicted. He's the only champion in the game that can increase the shield on all your team. That's how you manage to stack that insane shield on your team, you know. But again, very needy in the gear. I just wanted to put the Infinity Comp team in here because it's just such a powerful team. It deals so much damage. It's pretty easy to get to a 1 key if you manage to build a team. How I mentioned, it's pretty needy on champions and gear. I feel like it's a bit harder to build this compared to a classic Unkillable team. But that was all for this video, guys. Hopefully it made it easier and you get to understand on what clan boss team you can build or what clan boss team you should build for your own account depending on the gear that you have, the champions that you have available as well. If by any chance you have a different opinion on the top, your top 5, your top 10, let me know in the comments down below. There's so many other teams that we haven't actually covered. The whole idea is I wanted to bring you the best 5 teams that have utility, they're more accessible, and they have the best results all around, all affinities, all difficulties, easier to get to a 1 key or 2 key with the teams. Now, I'm gonna link different variations for all the teams that I mentioned while we actually walk through the entire process in the pinned comment and in the description as well, if any of you guys are interested to kind of like see different variations. And don't forget about the giveaway. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Smash that like button. Let me know in the comments down below which one is your ultimate favorite clan boss champion in the game. Don't forget to copy paste your in-game ID. Appreciate all of you guys watching. Hopefully you're gonna have an amazing Sunday and I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Peace.